Hey there everyone, Pal here, and welcome back. It's time for another Star Citizen video, and I'm following up to a video I did about 2 days ago. Last video was about 2016, looking back, how the game is looking now, sort of the current state of the game, my opinions on it, impressions, the good and the bad, and all of that. Today, I want to look forward. We're going to look into 2017. I'm going to predict what is coming, certain mile markers that I feel they need to make. In fact, I was originally going to title this video Make or Break, Star Citizen 2017, a make or break year, was my original thought. And I felt that was a little too dramatic. It's not a make or break. If these items don't happen, it doesn't mean Star Citizen is going to fail and never come out. But I do think there are certain items we need to see in 2017 in order to keep the mostly positive opinion of the community that's currently supporting it going forward. We already have naysayers within the community, and we're not going to change those. But I believe if we don't see certain key marks, mainly we're looking at 3.0 and some of that stuff, within reasonable times in 2017, I think people are going to start to really wonder what is holding this back. If we go back and just recap the previous video, essentially what we've done so far right now up to early 2017, we've given Chris roughly 4 years and roughly $140 million. And with that time, he's gone ahead and he's opened 5 studios. I forget how many there are. There's Austin, LA, 2 in Europe, 3 in Europe. There's 4 or 5 studios. Figure 200 to 300 people working for him and all of that. And we've watched them, at least watched them show us videos of them creating the tools to create this game. They took the CryEngine, they modified it out, they've now added in the Lumberyard backend with Amazon, but they've rebuilt a lot of the engine. We've seen them create the planetary tools, we've seen them create the new inventory system, or not inventory, but item system. We've watched them do all these tools. Well, it's time for us to start to see these tools in action. By that I mean the development of content at not a demanding pace, but reliable, bump, ba-bump, ba-bump, every 45 days or so, little bit of content coming as we move along. When we start to see that, even if it's 60 days, but as long as it's reliable work of content, if we can see, okay, the planetary tools are in place, and we're seeing a planet or two every 6 or 8 weeks, all right, we can see that, yes, our patience, our money, seems to be at least working progressively towards a better product. However, if we go and 3.0 doesn't come until November, and then the first Planet Beyond, the original ones in 3.0 don't come until late 2018, then we have some concerns. That's why 2017 is a year of put up or shut up with Star Citizen, in my opinion, but it's not a make or break year in terms of 2017. When I look at Star Citizen, now this is just me personally, there's several key items that I tick off my fingers for what it is for Star Citizen for me to be considered a success. Not an ideal game, not a 100% complete perfect product, but key items with which I believe, check, all right, I wish it was more, but I accept it for what it is. So the first one was the ability to get up out of a bed, wherever, summon a starship, climb in it, and fly off into space. And by that I mean beyond like your EVE Online where select starship spawn and you're out in the starship. Obviously that is it. We got that way back with 2.0 for the most part. Then we want to be able to do that with my friends in the ship, running around, doing things within that ship and not have it be completely broken. Check, we kind of got that. So up to 2.5, 2.6, it's kind of where we sit. Now moving forward, there's a few items that I still need to see. I want to be able to take that ship and I want to go to different locations, find different things to do, have fun with that, possibly land on planets and all of that. I originally would not have included landing on planets in that. For me, landing on planets would have been like an expansion down the line in, say, 2020 for the game. But they've put a huge amount of emphasis on this in the development already. We've seen it, so I'm going to include that in that. And for this part, we're kind of there. We can already fly from, say, Olisar out to Security Outpost, out to the repair pad, so we kind of have some of that in there, but it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. Obviously, the planets are added in. That's going to be coming with 3.0. Number 4 for me is going to be increasing the player number. Now, this one's a little more complicated. It's not simply say, allow us to have 1,000 players, because if we look at places like Olisar, Port Olisar, 24 players is probably about as many as you really want there. If you spawn into Port Olisar and there were 80 people there, You wouldn't be able to spawn a ship because all the landing pads would be used up. If you did manage to spawn a ship, before you would even be able to get into it, somebody would steal it, or another ship would be trying to land and crash into it, knock it off, and blow it up. You just wouldn't be able to use Port Olisar. It would be useless. It would be a nightmare with 80 players. So 24, 30 players at Olisar might be about how many they need. Area 18 ArcCorp. Similarly, you know, 40 to 60 players is probably about all you want in that area. If you had 300 people in that little area, the shops would just be so crowded. The terminals for accepting quests and everything would be so used, it would be just annoying to actually play. So parts like that, I admit, they need to keep somewhat limited. Now, that doesn't mean deep space needs to be limited. You know, ideally, deep space, if we get out towards asteroid fields and other, you know, relays and stuff, that should open up more and more progressively as we get deeper into space away from these armistice-like areas. Now, looking at it realistically, in my opinion, what do they need? I would say somewhere around 64 players to start off with is where it needs to be. I wouldn't be happy with 64 players. I wouldn't be like, yeah, that's a great number, but I think it's a good starting point. 64 players flying around in asteroid belts or something like that, I think is a reasonably good starting point for it to become a multiplayer-driven game. I think ideally you need to try and get that number up to 200-ish. That's where you can then start to really see some of these large corporations, organizations, and all of that really get into some schemes with each other. That might be undoable, though, within the tech of 2017. Not so much because the code on their end can't handle it, but we might need to wait until we see server hardware in 2022 in order to really handle things like that. But let's say 64 players to start off with in deep space. We need to see that. We know they are overhauling the netcode and all of that in 3.0. We'll see however many people they think they can do with it. But that's like the fourth item. And then a distant fifth, for me, a distant fifth is the solar system to solar system travel. Some people are going to think I'm a little crazy on this one, but I'll take one large solar system with 9 planets and say 15 moons, a bunch of space stations. For me, that is enough to get me invested and start playing in the game. You know, if I'm taking things from Crusader to a different planet and everything, having me go through a wormhole or whatever jump gate to get to another solar system is great. It's something I would love to see, but it's not something I need to see in order to say, all right, Star Citizen is an acceptable game at this point. It's a way of expanding the universe, but it's not something I need to see. So that's kind of the odd fifth. So out of the 4 key items that we need to have, we basically have 2 of them in there, and the other 2 should be coming in 3.0 to some extent or other. Now, personally, I think 3.0, realistically, we're looking roughly 6 months from now. I know they said early 2017, but we were also supposed to get 2.6 back in late October, November, somewhere in around there. So that didn't happen. Obviously, we're delayed. I think 6 months, May, June timeframe is reasonable for 3.0. Now, between now and 3.0, I do expect, hope, and I think we are already starting to see small incremental patches. While we didn't really get we didn't get any incremental patches from 2.5 to 2.6. A lot of that was because many of the systems that were broken in the 2.5 build were being torn out. So it didn't make sense for them to go in and fix, say, the ammo bug with projectile-based weapons in the 2.5 system, because that system wouldn't be in 2.6. It would be wasted man hours. Well, most of the systems in 2.6 now are theoretically supposed to be staying. So I want to see small incremental patches, 2.6.1, 0.2, 0.3. We've already know that apparently they are working on a 2.6.1 patch. I just hope we see quite a few more of them. Give us a patch every 45 days or so. Even if it just fixes a few of the small bugs, it at least allows people to see, it allows people to see progress in the game and that it's still being worked on. It's not just videos we see on Around the Verse and Reverse the Verse once a week. It's every 45 days or so we get a 3 gig update. We see this bug go away, that bug go away, and maybe some new, smoother animations, things like that. It allows us to see those things. And then, you know, when 3.0 is getting ready, all right, stop with the big patches and we'll give you 6-8 weeks, give us 3.0. Then 3.01, 3.02, 3.03, until 3.1. Right? Yeah, 3.1 is then the big one after that. That's something I'd like to see, and I think we will realistically see that to some extent from them. Now, the other one that I really haven't gotten into is Squadron 42. In the recent letter from the chairman video email, he talked about Squadron 42 in 2017. I don't buy this one. To me, that seems overly ambitious, similar to how 3.0 was originally going to be in 2016, I think, if we go way back. The fact that they couldn't even show us the first level of Squadron 42 back at CitizenCon, and last time I checked, isn't Squadron 42 supposed to be something like 40 chapters, 38, 40, 42 chapters, something like that, and they couldn't even show us the first chapter. It makes me wonder how they're going to finish that in roughly a year. Say 15 months, first half of 2020, or I'm sorry, he said 2017. Makes me wonder how they're going to finish that in that amount of time. I think realistically, Squadron 42 is first half of 2018. Give them about 18 months from now. So before June of 2018, I think we'll be seeing Squadron 42. Unless they do maybe something episodic. Say they have 42 chapters. Well, they could put out 12 chapters in 2017, 12 chapters in 2018, or first half of 2018, then like 10 chapters, and that would leave like 8 chapters left over at the end. That could be something that maybe they look to do. I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'm not a big fan of episodic game content, because if I like your game enough that I want to continue playing through it, I don't want to have to wait 6 months for the next chapter. However, if I don't like it enough, giving me more content of it isn't going to make me play it anymore. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I don't see Squadron 42, at least not a completed Squadron 42, in 2017. In my opinion, that's 2018. Looking back on the Star Citizen side, I believe we're going to see a soft launch of the PTU in late 2018. This is kind of like my breakdown of what I'm expecting from the game. Mid 2017, 3.0. Late 2017, early 2018, 4.0, solar systems. At this point, we now have planetary landings in place. We have the economy in place. What they need to do is start putting into place ways for buying ships and everything. And then most of 2018 will be a bunch of soft launches of the persistent universe, balancing, tweaking, adjusting content and everything. And late 2018 would be the point where, all right, accounts are now set. Here is our starting point. We are launching the game, soft launching the game from this part forward. We're going to continue to add on to it for probably another 6 or 8 years. But at this point forward, we're no longer going to be resetting accounts. That's what I believe is going to happen. So 16, 17, 2016's passes, 2017, 3.0, early 2018, 4.0. Testing of 4.0 into the persistent universe through 2018, soft launch late 2018 into the game. That's my thoughts. I think those are important. I really believe 3.0, we need to see it earlier than later this year, but that doesn't mean we need to see it in the next 3 months. We can give them some time, but if we don't see 3.0 till, say, November, that's concerning. That means there's some big problems that they're having. Something's not working right, it seems to me. Since they showed off planetary landings already, most of it should be there. So either what they showed off was a lie, or what they showed off was there, and we should be seeing it relatively 6 months or so soon. Alright, I think I'm starting to ramble now and repeating myself. That's about covers it, the netcode, all of those items. Yeah, I think that's most of what we need to see. Oh, the last thing I would like to see, and this is purely ambition, but I realize this isn't likely to happen. I would like to see less of a focus on the sale of ships. They like to do these big reveals and these big sales and everything, and I understand why. They need the money. The money we give into the game allows the game to progress and all of that. But there does tend to feel to be too much of a focus on these sales. I would like them to have the content of the game sell the ships rather than these big promotions. If 3.0 comes about and the new inventory system and item system and the sale of items is cool, that alone right there will drive the sale of freelancers and caterpillars and merchantmans. We don't need these elaborate sales pitches and everything, or we shouldn't need these elaborate sales pitches if the game content is good enough. I'd like to see more of a focus of that. Let the gameplay, and the features added to the game drive the sales, which drive money back into the game. Have the game sustain itself through its content in a sense, rather than these big pushes of, oh, the big reveal of X ship, you should all buy it, and lifetime insurance and all of that. I realize that's probably not realistic, but it's something I would like to see. And yeah, I think that about does it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. These are just my opinions on the current state of the game, or on predictions for the game. Until next time, though, this has been Paller. Thanks for watching.